Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to top four, right? Top four deck profile?
Yeah, we got top four. It's a Catskill regional.
Nice, nice. So I'm here with Josiah and I guess tell him what you did exactly.
So it was only 7 rounds, is smaller. I think we had like 140 people. But I went 6-1 with Pure Tri-Brigade.
That's pretty crazy. I have not seen this deck in months, so like coming out with Tri-Brigade of all things is pretty crazy. All right. Anything you want to say before you get in? Any shout outs or anything like that?
Yeah, shout outs to my friends that I went down with, Ryan and Gargan. I had a really good time. I mean, for the lunch break, there was like a cafe right next to there. Somebody was playing like live saxophone. It was great. We got like a 40-minute lunch and I just chilled there for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. This was the most laid back regional I think I've been to. I don't know. It felt like a locals for me. So
Yeah, I love it when regionals do lunch breaks. It's always so great. All right, well, let's get into the profile.
all right. So we played Pure Tri-Brigade. Starting out with the starters, we played the 2 Rescue Cat. I honestly didn't really want to play Rescue Cat. It doesn't. It's just so vulnerable to hand traps, and I didn't know how much super heavy samurai I was going to run into. But I don't know. I felt like the deck needed more than 6 starters. I didn't like Foolish Burial, and I couldn't really find any better alternatives. So I still ran it, and it put in work. It baited Zeus twice for me this weekend. So Rescue Cat, you did your job. I'm proud of you. You baited the negate so I could resolve my Karis.
That's pretty awesome. All right.
And then we got the 3 Tenki and the 3 Fractal. Tenki to 3 is huge for Pure Tri-Brigade.
Oh, yeah.
I know for other decks like Lyralisk, just like different decks that run the Tri-Brigade engine, you didn't even want to play Fractal at 3 because like if you open multiples, it's awful. But for any of the 2 card Tri-Brigade combos, opening multiple copies of Fractal gets you there. So honestly, the best thing that's probably happened to this deck. Very, very big fan. And then we're maxing out on everything except for the Karis.
Just two. Yeah, that's pretty normal.
Yeah, I wanted to play Karis at 3, and all honesty, I probably would in the future. I got very lucky a lot of my games and just saw them when I needed them. But
That's pretty good.
yeah, I definitely think I'd play him at 3. Because I think that's Tri-Brigade's biggest weakness, especially when you start going against better players, is they know if they just choke you out and they hit your normal summon and the Karis, your engine's done with. That's all you have to try and push.
Those are only extenders to.
Yeah, so making sure you see Karis is super, super important. Going on from there, the my favorite part of the Tri-Brigade engine. I remember when people first started playing this after they got rid of the DPE engine, because it was a bigger engine at first. Then after they got rid of DPE, it was just these 3 cards, and I wasn't sold on it. But it put in so much work. Because it's not just 2 free cards. The Mercurier always serves as an extender as well when you're going second trying to break boards. If you use Karis to special summon, pitch a name. If you can get Mercurier into the grave, even if they negate your Karis when you banish the names, Mercurier is now you can dump the branded sword, add the Mercurier, normal summon the Mercurier, and that gets you to like a Ferigi or a Bearbrum.
Oh, okay.
Whatever
Yeah,
you need to extend past that.
Pretty crazy.
And then also the Shrouded Dragon is never really a brick. I thought it was like you're playing like 2 bricks, and it's not just that it's Upstart Goblin. Like the best way to describe it, it doesn't turn off the engine if you see the Shrouded Dragon, because you can still just use the Shrouded Dragon and then still add it anyways off the Mercurier effect, right, and then just get rid of it with the Ferigi or the Bearbrum.
That's pretty good. Yeah. What is the? I actually am unfamiliar with Sword. Can you actually tell me what that does?
Yeah, so Sword, its effect on field is it summons a token. It is just as much of a Garnet as Driver. Like, I never want to see this card, and I saw it in my hand so many times this Saturday. I was not happy about it. But the second effect, the effect you use it for, is in the grave you can banish it to add back a card. I think that List Fallen of Albaz in its name. Yeah. which includes
That's
the Mercurier.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
essentially, the engine is you just want to dump the Mercurier into the grave off kit effect. You banish it, and Mercurier adds the Albion. The Albion dumps the branded sword to draw you a card, and then the branded sword adds back the Mercurier. So you essentially just get 2 free cards for no investment whatsoever.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
And because of that's also part of the reason why I didn't really like Rescue Cat, is Rescue Cat summons Kit from the deck. So it is a 1-card starter, but it forces you to use Kit's effect to dump the Nerval.
Otherwise you don't have
so the only way to get to the Mercurier is by summoning like a Shurig, linking the Shurig off, searching this, and then discarding it for Bearbrum effect. So it's like a lot of steps just to get to it. So I don't know. I didn't like Rescue Cat, but I really did just need another starter, and I didn't want to run pots in the deck.
Makes sense.
So on from there, we're playing the newest Tri-Brigade card, Tri-Brigade Roar.
All right, I have no idea what this does either. I'm gonna be honest with you. Was this the last set?
Yeah, this just came out.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody knew what this card does. It was great. I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. It isn't as good as I was hoping it was gonna be. Initially, after I started testing with it, when I first saw the card release, I thought it was insane. Then I started testing with it, and it wasn't as insane, but it's still a really, really good piece of support. If you control a Link monster, send 1 Tri-Brigade card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, then target 1 effect monster on the field. That's the cost. Apply the following effects based on what type of card was sent to the graveyard. Monster, you can change the targeted monster's attack to 0 until the end of the turn. If you send a spell, you can negate that monster's effects until the end of the turn. And if you send a trap, you can return that monster to the hand. You can only use it once per turn.
Okay, so you usually
either
send the monster, I assume?
No.
Oh, okay. So I was expecting to send the Link 5, but okay.
Yes. So you can send the Link 5. I never got to do that this weekend. I really wanted to. But a lot of times going second, you can only use it with Almirage on the field. Like you summon your guy, you link it off for Almirage, and that makes Roar online. The issue is Almirage's attack is 0.
Right.
So I thought this would be insane, like using it for like damage step, like that type of trick where you damage step, send the Link 5, and then you get to make something 0. Or going first, if you get hand trapped, you can target a Link monster. But the Almirage, the attack is 0, so that never really came up much. What I did do is you can send, it doesn't limit you from sending Roar, so you can send the other copy from your deck. Yeah, as a negate, which I did once. I had to negate a Unicorn after it hit the field because I did not want to banish it to give it monster zones, and I didn't want to bounce it with DDL, but I really didn't want it to apply the pressure. The rest of the times I used it, though, I just sent a copy of Revolt to have an additional compulse.
Okay, yeah. This seems actually pretty flexible, having either the negate or the bounce. I guess the damage up thing can come up too.
My favorite part about this card, just going to the next card in the deck, I actually played 2 Revolt, was if you open either one of these, normally in Pure Tri, if you like open Revolt, it's like extra not good because now your Bearbrum has no like purpose to serve.
Right.
But Bearbrum searches any Tri-Brigade spell, so you can just search whichever one you don't have. And now you're essentially ending on a Compulse off Roar and the Revolt for the Shuri quick effect summon and banish.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Definitely diversifying your interactions. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, no. I bounced a Chizhou. I forced a Baron negate with it. And I negated a Unicorn. I think that was all the time. I got to use it 3 times this weekend. Those were the 3 times I used it. But it felt very good. I definitely wouldn't play it at 3 in this current format because you can't even activate it under a Rise Heart, and I preferred hand traps. But yeah, no. It was a very nice card. I mean, just the fact that it raises the ceiling on the Tri-Brigade board, because really all they can end on is Appaloosa, DDL, and Herald if you're running the Cerberus package. But I didn't want to run it, so
it seems pretty flexible, especially you can send like Nerval and Kit, right? So like I
Yep.
can just
Yeah, you can
that's a
you
lot
can
of
send main deck
utility.
monsters as well.
Right. Okay.
It never came up, but in testing, if you go like if they negate your first name and then they negate your second name, you could link two into a Farigite and then use the effect to either dump a Shurig from your extra deck to search a name, like whatever name you haven't used, and then summon it off the Farigite.
Yeah.
That was the only purpose I could see it serving turn one. Also, if they try and hit you at like a choke point, so say you go Bear Brim effect, discard 2 to try and summon one from the extra deck, or from the banished zone, excuse me, and then they try and imperm you there as like a choke point, you can chain it, targeting your own Bear Brim to bounce it to hand to dodge the imperm.
Yeah. Okay. That's really cool.
But yeah, none of that came up. It just served as a compulse and a negate. And also it forced out some interruptions going second. So no, it was definitely a very, very good card. That is all I have for the Tri-Brigade engine. So for non-engine, what did I have? 18 cards. I did play the one called By the Grave. I knew Shifter and Droll was going to be everywhere. That's all I saw in testing, and that is all I saw today. My matchups actually were branded into 2 Sword Souls back to back, which was crazy. Honestly, some very, very close games versus Sword Soul. I actually had to blind second because I knew he was going to side in going second cards, but then also I knew versus Sword Soul and Appaloosa Revolt was not going to stop them from OTKing me. So that was actually a really, really close match that we had. Yeah, and then for the after that, it was branded 2 Sword Soul, and then I went against Cash Tira, who is maining Shifter Droll, into Super Heavy Samurai, who is maining Droll, into 2 more Cash players. One of them did Droll me game 1, so
so many Drolls.
yeah, and so the big thing with this deck is because we're playing the Mercurier line, we have to search our deck for the Albion, and then Albion has to draw a card in order to dump the branded sword. So it's like
a little
yeah. it didn't feel the worst. I got drolled a lot. I think I only got to combo once going first the entire 7 rounds. That's how often I got shifted or drolled.
That's pretty crazy.
But it was basically I just played hand trap control and then eventually pushed for game with because this deck. Yeah, no, with I don't know. I kind of just freestyled a lot, and you can push a lot with Farigite and Bear Brum effect, especially from the banished zone. Mm-hmm. Like the deck can generate a lot of bodies and a lot of damage, a lot better than I honestly was expecting.
Makes sense.
So then for the hand trap lineup, played Triple Gamma. This definitely the best hand trap of the day, hands down. Better than Ogre, better than Droll, better than Ash. This card, this upcoming format is just absurd. It is so good. Nobody respected Gamma today, and I wasn't able to punish anybody. Literally everybody drolled on Nerval effect or Tinky effect. And I wish this had been in my opening hand those games, but it never was.
That's too bad.
But that's okay. Or with like a Rescue Cat effect. I never got ashed on that either. But no, this is definitely best hand trap into the upcoming format. I main 3 Droll. Is obviously worthless versus Sword Soul, but it was very, very good into cash. Kind of always has been. It doesn't stop them from their resource loop and their like ability to control the game, but it does stop them from getting to the board of what is it, Shangri-Ira, Diabolos plus their Rise Heart, and it also stops you from getting 5 zone locked. So. But I don't know. The card's really bad into Pearly because they do everything in their draw phase because all their spells are quick play spells. And what's the other deck? It's good into Super Heavy Samurai. It is very good into Super Heavy Samurai. It just ends their turn immediately. But just because it's so bad into Pearly, I don't know if I would main it in the future. It's definitely worth at least siding though. Yeah. Triple Ogre. This card was insane. I played against a lot of Sword Soul, so it put in a lot of work. Is the first card I sided out though, going into cash.
Yeah, definitely.
The one time I got so excited, I was going against Kashtira. He activated Birth, and I was like, "All right, I have this ogre in my hand. This is so good." And then he's like, "I'm gonna normal summon with Birth," and I'm like, "All right, this sucks."
Yeah, yeah.
No, we played 3 Ash, just generic, good into everything. It's like okay into everything. Excuse me. 3 Imperm, and then I played the 1 Crow. This is my 41st card in the deck.
Yeah.
I kind of talked
Shurag,
myself.
right?
Yeah, I talked myself into playing it only because it's good into Pearly. It hits the what's the level 1? It hits the level 1. You can hit the spell. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And then it also hits one of the Xyz. And then versus Super Heavy Samurai, it hits the Link 1. 'Cause the Link 1 targets. So, and then they have to discard for cost. So, I decided to play it. It never came up. I think I would still probably main it as a 1-of though.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So that's everything for the main deck. I think the only thing I would change is I would take the Drolls out. I don't know if I would play Kaiju's in the main or if I would play Mourners. I definitely don't like Veilers. So for the same reason, I don't like Droll because I can't use it in the draw phase.
Yeah.
And then I'll just go into the extra deck next. So we have for Link 1s, the Almirage. I did play the Lightheart. This came up numerous times. For some of the combo lines, you have to like normal summon kit effect for 1 to get the Lightheart onto the field, and then link both of them off into Farigite, and then that gets a bunch of names in your grave to combo off from there. And then also just sometimes you just need 1 extra body to get to whatever link you're trying to get to going second. I definitely would not cut this. It came up a lot. The 1 Farigite. I was playing 2 in my initial list because versus Cash, if they rip this, you have no good extenders, which did come up. I lost a game. Unicorn looped my Farigite. He didn't really establish a board, but when it passed over to me, it was like I lost to 1 hand trap because I had no good Link 2 to go into. Because Bear Brum, the next one, requires 2 Tri-Brigade monsters. So you can't like Link 2 off of like a Light Heart and a Tri-Brigade name. It has to be 2 Tri-Brigades. We're playing the 1 DDL, pretty standard. I did decide to play Lambda. So this deck actually has a combo line where you can make Lambda before searching anything. Like Well Bodies in the field. Yeah, so if you have a Gamma in the hand, I mean, if they draw you on Nerval, then they get Gamma. But you can make this before committing to anything, and then you can still end on Lambda, Appaloosa, DDL.
Okay, yeah, that's
I can show that after if you're interested.
Okay.
They were playing the 1 Rugal. I decided to play Rugal over Doom Eagle because I needed a Link 3 that I could just hard link into. Which did come up a couple times, so I don't regret playing it. The other effect, too, actually, to reduce the attack of monsters on the board did come up once to help me push for game.
Yeah.
It reduces... Effect, yeah, and it's for each type you have on the field, and this deck has, like... If you like link them off into an Axis code, you'll end on, like, a Cyberse, a Beast Warrior, a Winged Beast, and it's just, like, it reduces everything by 1,200.
Yeah, so,
kind of weird. Then we have the Axis code. You gotta play it. The Appaloosa. I'm on double Shurig, and this is part of the reason I didn't play more than 1 Farigite, is because I was like, even if I do play more than 1 Farigite, they'll just like loop a Shurig, which will hurt. They'll loop the Axis code so that I can't use the Axis code to push for game, or they'll hit the Bear Brum. I was like, regardless of what I play multiples of, it doesn't really matter, because then I need to play multiples of the other card.
Right.
Then we're on the Link 5. Really just a dump target for Roar and another card that I'm playing on my side. You dump him, and then he either dumps the Shurig if you have cards in your banish pile to search a name, or he can dump the Garura, which just draws you a card. And then also, because it's a Winged Beast, it's more fodder in your graveyard for the Tri-Brigade effects.
That makes sense.
The 1 Omega to actually punish your opponent if you get to Gamma going first, and it's also a synchro. and the one, however you say his name.
I have no idea what this is.
He is the Xyz that you can send off of Ultimate Slayer.
Okay.
His effect is if he's sent to the graveyard, you can target a face-up card on the field, negate its effects until the end of the turn.
Okay. I mean, you already. I guess that answers that question if you're playing Ultimate Slayer or not.
Yeah, and this leaves us with one of each target. Like the Omega is not great. I wanted to play the new Synchro that just bounces a monster when it's sent, but I think the extra deck space is tight, and I much prefer Omega there.
Yeah, it also doubles as like if like Gamma resolves on your turn, you can just rip a card too. Is there something you'd cut maybe for like the second Fairjet? I was thinking maybe the Garura, but if you're on Ultimate Slayer, maybe not.
If I were to cut Ultimate Slayer, and I mean playing Ultimate Slayer also kind of depends. I sided it in versus Sword Soul. Insane into Sword Soul. The card's crazy. It's like good into so many matchups. I sided it into Super Heavy Samurai because if you're not getting FTK boarded, which you won't be because you're playing 15 hand traps and you can side out like revolts for it. It's like it's super versatile, and it's a really really good side deck card. It's just worthless into cash. If Cash Tira does not get hit on the upcoming ban list, I probably wouldn't play Ultimate Slayer again because it was just a dead side deck card for 3 of my matches.
Would you maybe cut the Xyz then? Because like against Pirelli, isn't it like Nor isn't affected, right? And Kashtira can't really send. So maybe the Xyz you would cut. Like what do you think as far as that is?
It's like so the logic. I don't have enough testing versus Pirelli. The idea for the Xyz is it's a target for like trap tricks. Okay. It can come up. It can also come up versus Super Heavy Samurai, where they end on just a Baguska if you drill them. So you kind of need an Xyz target.
Okay.
No, and then even versus Pirelli, you can hit the what is it? It's not Nightingale. Is it Ensemble Robin? I want to say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That would make more sense. You can send that, and then you can negate the spell, which gives the continuous spell, and that way if you do have the kaiju for whatever reason, when you kaiju them, they don't just get to +3.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair. Okay. Moving on to the side, right? Oh.
Yeah.
Something else to say about that? Or?
No, not really. We played 5 kaijus. These were the best card in my side. If you remember the matchup spread, I said 2 Sword Soul, 3 Kashtira. These cards are very good against Sword Soul, and they're also very good versus Kashtira. I knew I needed to play more than 3 because I was like, if Kashtira just ends on a Rise Heart Pass, that FTKs my deck because I cannot activate or resolve a single Tri-Brigade effect under that.
Right. And your Roars are
Rescue.
Dead?
Yeah, Roars are dead. Rescue Cat actually doesn't tribute. It sends to graveyard, so you can't Rescue Cat either. Like, it literally turns off the entire deck. So I almost wish I mained these, but I mean, it was still fine. I want to test. That's the first thing I want to test with, is taking out the Drolls from the main and trying these in the main and see how it goes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kaiju's put in a lot of work. We definitely would continue to play them. I have the 3 Ultimate Slayers. This card's not once per turn. I actually didn't know that going into this event. And then one of my opponents was like, "That's not once per turn, right?" And I was like, "Huh?" I looked at the card. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." So
yeah, thanks.
honestly, the card's cracked. Yeah, no. I if it weren't for Kashtira, I feel like this card would definitely be seeing play. All the times I saw it, it was insane. It did win me one of my Sword Soul games. He had Solemn Judgment. That was the time he asked me if it was once per turn. He Solemn Judgmented the first copy, and I was like, well, it didn't matter if it was once per turn because I'd still be able to activate another one. But yes, I also do have the other one. sent the Omega, and then sent his Chi Jiao, and that was pretty much his entire board. Yeah, no, very very insane. We're on for back row. I fortunately did not face any Labyrinth. There was actually a decent amount of Labyrinth. I know one of them topped. No, two Labyrinth decks topped at the regional. I just got lucky and dodged them all.
That's
Um,
it was good, yeah.
yeah, no, I definitely prefer Twin over Cosmic. It's nice with the Tri-Brigade names, being able to discard them and trigger them. And then also just you kind of need to hit more than one thing.
Hmm.
But I wanted this over Lightning Storm because a lot of times you'll have a Tinky sitting on the field and your Lightning Storms will be dead post turn one.
Hmm. Makes sense.
And then the final card at the side, we were on Triple D Barrier. The one thing I noticed playing this deck is I never wanted to go first. Like, as crazy as that sounds, I still went first into Cash. I still went first into Kashtira, but it's like they don't really care about an Appaloosa DDL. Like, that doesn't really do anything to them. They kind of just
They'll just eat Appo. Like
they'll dump their bodies onto the field and then go to the battle phase. And they're like, "What are you gonna do? DDL bounce?" Okay. So just I think in the future I would, and what I've seen a lot of Tri-Brigade lists do in the past, and what I would do in the future is play 6 floods for post game 1, whether that be like anti-spell, Tikaboo, whatever it be. I definitely think 6 trap cards is the wave, so that it doesn't feel bad going first into something like Sword Soul or Cash.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anti-spell actually has, funnily enough, an application against Super Heavy Samurai because they can't scale anything. So.
Yeah, I mean, no, and I think it is better because I think people will be cutting evenly because it doesn't out towers versus Pearly. You still get FTK'd versus Super Heavy Samurai because they're ending on so many Omni Negates.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But,
like, more
yeah, no, the D barriers definitely put in work versus Sword Soul. If I did see them, I didn't, but they would have.
It's pretty awesome. All right, do you want to show that Lambda combo?
Yeah, sure. So let's just say we have
Need the gamma.
Copy of Pinky, or we'll do two fractals.
Sure. And then the gamma, because obviously the combo doesn't make sense without it.
And it doesn't make sense if you don't open driver. You always open
obviously,
driver.
Obviously.
Card's always in the hand. All right, so you start out with the fractal send. Fractal's gonna dump the Nerval. Nerval is gonna add yourself a copy of it. And then from here, you're going to normal summon the kit. I preferred this zone, so I can use that zone for the whatever monster I summon off the Farrajeet. But we're going to banish 2 to summon out a Farrajeet. And then you trigger the Farrajeet effect, summon the name from hand. And then you immediately just link these 2 off into the Lambda. Before because the only time you search so far is with the Nerval effect, and you didn't have a body on the board yet.
Right.
Then you can trigger the Farrajeet to get rid of the driver if you want.
Also
or whatever card. Yep. Yeah. You can. It depends on how greedy you are. It does play around Nib as well. But you can be greedy, and I'll show you the line where I am greedy and play into Nib still.
Okay.
Because I did not respect Nib at all today. I don't think anybody was really playing it today. I think everybody knew the card is worthless into Super Heavy Samurai and Pearly, so nobody was on it. And I wasn't respecting Nib, none of the Cash players, none of the Sword Soul players, literally nobody in the entire room was respecting it. So maybe if you ran it, it would have worked out. But yeah, no, I don't think Nib's a good card coming versus the 2 newest decks.
Right.
But yeah, so you dump the Mercarrier.
Okay.
You're going to trigger whatever name you have, so Fractal in this case, to banish 2. And that's going to bring out the Bearbrum. And then right here, you can trigger the Mercarrier. The Mercarrier is going to add the Shrouded Dragon. You'll trigger the Shrouded Dragon effect to draw any random card and dump the Branded Sword. And then he puts himself to the bottom of the deck. And then you can Branded Sword, add back the Mercarrier. And then Bearbrum effect, to discard 2, you can discard the card you just drew, and the Mercarrier, or any dead card in your hand, really. And summon whatever name you haven't used yet. So in this case, we'll summon the Nerval. And so here's the thing. You could play a brown Nib here and just link these into an Appaloosa. Or if you don't respect Nib, you can Nerval effect for 2. Get yourself your DDL, and now you don't have the zones to summon the gamma, but that is A-OK. and then link 4 into the Appaloosa, and you're under. And then Bear Brum search the Revolt by putting back card from hand. And then this is the standard board essentially of Appaloosa DDL, but then plus the Lambda, and you're under the Lambda Gamma Protection, the whole combo.
Right.
I only got to do this combo once the entire tournament because I never opened Gamma. But it was nice to know I had some type of protection versus the card that everybody was maining.
Yeah, that is nice. It's also worth noting that like if you do happen to Gamma and you make the Omega, you could trigger Lambda in the end phase to search another Gamma.
That is true.
Super insane. So, well, wow, that is pretty sick. Okay, any last words you want to say, really?
Yeah, no, I definitely think this deck put in a lot more work than I was expecting. Like I said, I went against 3 cash players. They all were very competent. Actually, one of them, I went against Enzo at the tournament.
Oh yeah, I know Enzo. Yeah,
he was on cash, and it was like crazy because I had watched his deck profile when he got it was like second place at a regional with Tri-Brigade. I was like, oh no! And so he did the craziest thing, right? Yeah. He game 2, we were in the longest grind ever, and I had gone through all but one of each of my Tri-Brigade names, and he didn't really have access to much because it was a grind, and he had enough resources to make a rank 7. He had 2 level 7s on the field. And he was thinking for a while, and then he summoned Diabolos instead of a Shangri-Ira, and he triggered the effects, and I had it was like 6 face down banish cards. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna lose. I was like, he's gonna banish like 1 or 2 of my Tri-Brigade names, and the game's gonna be over. And I didn't banish a single Tri-Brigade name, not even the Revolt. And then I that's what I knew. I was like, all right, this today is my day. Variance is on my side. And I made an Appaloosa and searched a Revolt, and he just looked at me and he was like, I didn't hit a single thing, did I? And I was like, nope, no, you didn't.
That's pretty sweet. All right.
But yeah, no, everybody played really well. It was a really well run event. It was a lot of fun.
Not
yeah,
surprising.
My first.
What can you expect? Got everything.
But yeah, no. So thank you for having me.
Of course.